break through that barrier. And, because nobody knew who I was, nobody knew whether I could be trusted, and stuff like that. So we've got to save our young people through nutrition, and we've got to save our seniors, the wisdom. We've got to protect the wisdom. We can't allow all this wisdom. Grandmama got the wisdom. Grandpa got the wisdom. We can't let that to be taken from this planet because these young people got no guidance. They got no guidance. So eventually they'll grow up and be smart enough to listen to somebody. So we got to keep the people around that they can listen to. And so this is a two-edged sword. It's making our seniors die too soon, and then it's making and have you noticed that you can get a hamburger for $1, right? But if you go over to Whole Foods and you ask for a hamburger, and all of a sudden it costs $6 or $7, because real food costs money. And they'll sell you HMO junk all day long, and they'll sell you the stuff pumped up on steroids all day long. But when you want the real stuff, then the price is going to go up. So we've got to start realizing that we can actually protect ourselves from the nursing home. Because, and I tell people all the time, man, I was talking to a guy the other day. I walked up on him, and he was moving so slowly that I didn't even recognize him. And I said, hey, man, what happened to you? He looked like he got hit by 3 trucks and a train. And he said, I had 4 strokes. I said, homie, you need to come go with me, and let me tell you how to heal yourself. And he said, no, I'm going to keep doing what my doctor said do. And I walked away shaking my head thinking, your doctor got you 4 strokes in a row. You just hang right in there. It was just so sad. We're so brainwashed. We can't give our power to somebody else. You're in charge of your health. Do the research. If you don't know how to do the research, get somebody to do it for you. We've got to start taking care of ourselves. And like I said, all this poison water in our communities, it's not accidental. I'm sorry, it's not accidental.
So that raises another interesting question. I know a lot of women that get to a certain age, they start getting concerned about the way that their body changes, and there are certain drugs that they are then encouraged to take, or certain medical procedures that they are then encouraged to have done on their bodies. And I'm just wondering what your views are in terms of, are there any kind of natural cures for that whole menopause kind of thing that women go through and things of that nature? Because I know that I've got those.
It is so. Have we ever had this conversation before? Because Never. This is so right. That question is so right on. I was working with a sister who was about 60 out of Oakland, right? She might have been 55 or 56, somewhere in there, right? And I told her, I'm an anti-aging expert. If I don't reverse the aging process for you, I will slow it down so slowly that you won't know you're aging, right? Girlfriend called me in 6 months. For the first 2 months, I'm feeling great. 3rd month, I'm feeling wonderful. 4th month, this is something. 5th month, I'm great. 6th month, call me, fussing me out. I said, what happened, baby girl? She said, my cycle has returned. And I was blown away. I said, when I trick your body into thinking it's younger, it's going to start acting younger, And she was, but here's what her concern was. I'm in a committed relationship with my husband. Now I got to practice safe sex because I don't want to get pregnant. And for some reason, that has escaped me. I thought that after you got a certain age, I know a lot about medicine. I guess I didn't know enough about women. But I found out that at any age, I know in the Bible it said people are having babies at 80 years old and, stuff. But this lady said that my cycle has returned, and I did not want it to return. I said, I'm sorry, but it comes with the package.
It comes with the package. So there are ways that you can reverse these trends that society and the world try to tell you are irreversible according to what you're telling me.
Well, if you look at, for instance, the sale of transfer factor in other countries, this product is in 50 countries. It's already in the physician's desk reference manual, right? But guess what? The only people who can sell the product are people who become distributors, right? And anybody can become a distributor for under $250, and you get your own website and everything. See, here's a product that a doctor has in his physician's desk reference manual that he's not telling people about because it will eliminate half of those this is my opinion now, it will eliminate half of the prescriptions that he's going to be writing.
So they definitely don't want that to happen, because then they would be short on, particularly the pharmaceutical companies would be short in terms of their profit margin and things of that nature. So I was just curious, another thing that I think we have talked about before, but I was just wondering what your take on is in terms of what we can do with nature and things of that nature in terms of medicine, because I know that, I don't know if this particular project is, but I know that we're always complaining that we don't have enough success with retaining our black farmers and our black farmland, and then there's the whole push toward trying to go solar and things of that nature. So I was just wondering what your take was on nature, farming, and the climate, and climate change, which of course we have a president that doesn't believe in that.
Well, climate, from my perspective, climate change is real, and we are mucking it up. And I did a little experiment with some kids. I said, okay, we're going to imagine that we didn't even have any live plants in the room. I said, we're going to imagine that we've got a plant over here in this side of the room, and we've got to have a plant over there on that side of the room. And I said, we're going to tell this plant we love it. I didn't even have a plant in the room. I just made this scenario up, right? We're going to tell this plant we love it. We're going to tell that plant we hate it. And I asked the kids, what's going to happen? And they all said, the plant that you tell hate it is not going to grow as well as the plant that you tell you love it, right? I said, now, is that true? And the kid held up his hand. He says, in the 5th grade, we did. Now, these kids are institutional. They're in an institution, right? And he said, in the 5th grade, we did the experiment in class, and I remember the plant that we talked to and said that we love it, right, grew. And the plant that we ignored or told that we didn't love it, it didn't grow. So I said, okay, what if you walk into the room and tell the plant that you love it in Japanese? What happens then? And they said, oh, no, the plant doesn't understand Japanese. And I said, and so half the room said the plant doesn't understand Japanese. The other half of the room said, there's about 20 kids altogether. So 10 said it understood Japanese, and the other 10 said the plant wouldn't respond if a Japanese lady walked in. And I said, I finally explained to them, no, here's what happens. The plant doesn't respond to your words because it doesn't speak any language. The plant speaks energy, right? The energy that you project to it, the plant turns that into vitality, you know. So I say, so what if 1 billion people started taking the energy that they focused on this potted plant and focused it upon the ocean with love, or the rainforest? If billions of people started saying, I love you, right, what would happen? Those kids, I mean, I blew their minds. They were like, well, we can heal global warming. We can do this, you know. So I personally believe that there's a whole lot of truth and possibility there, but I just got them to start thinking about not allowing other people to take their power away from them and start to realize that they are a force of nature to be reckoned with, and start to realize that they can project love and caring upon Mother Nature and start to help turn this thing around. You know, it's not just who's got the money. You know, sometimes it's who's got the most powerful intent, you know, who has the most powerful desire to heal the planet. You see, because there are people who had more money than Harriet Tubman, but she freed more people. You know, there are people who had more money than Mr. Nelson Mandela. But I tell these people who are incarcerated, I said, you have no excuse. You got to get out and you got to, you know, express your God self. I said, because this guy did 26 years in prison for stuff, you know, that was trumped up on him, and then he came out and became president. So that proves to me that no matter where you come from, you can go, you know, in the direction that you want to go. And so I use a lot of those kinds of ideas to share my spiritual message, which is we are spirit at our center, and we have way more power than we will even try to deal with. We are very powerful human beings, and the power of love can turn this thing around. And I firmly believe that because, man, you know, the power of pure intent has saved me from destruction more than once.
Now, we just recently lost somebody that has a very similar message to you in terms of letting folks know about the things that were going on in the pharmaceutical industry and the health industry and the things of that nature. And I'm thinking about Brother Dick Gregory, and I was just wondering if in your world travels you ever had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Dick Gregory and how that conversation went.
It's funny that you ask me that. It's funny to do. Let me confess. First of all, in my younger days, I was a hippie. I'm going to proceed this, all right? In my younger days, I was a hippie. There is a university in Portland, Oregon called Reed College. And I don't think they'll even let you on campus unless your IQ is 140 or 150, right? And so I'm a pretty smart guy, and so I had friends who went to that school. The first time that Dick Gregory spoke, on the West Coast and not in California, was at Reed College in Portland, Oregon. And then I went in to hear homie speak, and he just blew my mind, man. I was like, my brain and my heart and my all of my chakras were like buzzing for like 3 or 4 days, man. This guy just fired me up. He was just so lucid and so funny with his tragic stories. He'd have you laughing and crying at the same time, because he told the truth every step of the way, but he was so comical at delivering the truth to you. It was like a truth serum. I mean, he was a genius. Man was a genius.
He was definitely a genius. And I was wondering, that sometimes one of the things that I find really interesting, and it's just a theory of mine, is that sometimes they will actually give us the truth, but they'll give it to us in the form of stories in terms of what Hollywood and the movie industry does. Because I don't know if we've ever had this conversation before, but I'm a big fan of, or was a big fan of the X-Files. Definitely still am a big fan of Star Trek. So a lot of these things that they encourage us not to be involved in, like good health and these kind of vitamins and stuff like that, is a primary part of the plot lines of these kind of TV shows and movies that are out there. So I think sometimes we have to find the truth even in unconventional places, because sometimes some of the wisdom that, say, Spock was giving us or Worf was giving us is actual real wisdom that the writers somehow found out about and stuck it into a storyline of supposed fiction. But some of that fiction is actually probably based on reality and facts.
Sure. And there are 2 movies that come to mind. Well, there are 3, actually. These 3 movies are one is kind of a cult movie called What the Bleep Do We Know? I highly recommend that movie because it really talks about how the human mechanism works and how we create our concept of reality. That's What the Bleep Do We Know? And then the other movie is The Matrix. I always ask people in my workshops, did you see The Matrix? And then I tell them, I'm going to explain to you what The Matrix is. And I explain to them that The Matrix is a situation where you are allowing your environment to tell you who you are, right? Nelson Mandela didn't allow his environment to tell him who he was. I always talk about Helen Keller. When I'm in prison talking to inmates there, I said, Helen Keller was born in the hole. She was born blind, deaf, and mute. And I said, can you imagine how long it took somebody pouring water on her hand and then putting a little sign in her hand to let her know that was water, and when you get thirsty, you have to make this sign in somebody's hand for them to know that they're thirsty. And then this woman went from that deficit to doing workshops and writing books and things. So I say the human spirit, is amazing. It's just amazing. And so we can come from wherever we are and go to where we want to be and contribute to the planet. Whatever we've been given, we can turn that into something phenomenal. So I believe that the other movie I was thinking about was Limitless also. I believe that if we can learn how to forgive ourselves and to forgive others, we can learn how to free our minds. In my workshops, I always say, free your mind and your assets will follow.